Sellers on day one received over £500,000. I didn't put any money in, but the business became mine. So it was quite an odd feeling on sort of day one walking around this factory with loads of bits of kit in thinking, I own this. So that's one of the deal structures that Jonathan teaches, and it worked really nicely. Worked nice because psychologically the sellers were getting a big chunk.
When people say, oh, looking at businesses for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, either they don't have the criteria right, or they're just doing it wrong. They don't have a system, they're not following a process. So when you've got a process to follow, it can all fall into place very, very quickly indeed. What was it that made you think buying a business is better than starting a business?
So I had tried starting businesses to sort of work alongside the family businesses. Thought it'd be easy, had a good idea.
Okay.
Failures, in effect. So I didn't fancy starting a business, but I didn't want to be at the coalface again, dealing with staff problems every day, dreading pulling into the car park, thinking what's going to go wrong today, customers, staff, same old problems. Business would be easy without them. So I wanted to be more hands-off, more strategic. And when I was listening to the podcast, it sort of ticked all the boxes of what I wanted, but also what I felt my skill sets were. Obviously, I have done financial due diligence myself. I'm used to going into clients, new business, and to get up to speed quickly to be able to hold a conversation with the FD of a multi-million-pound business without sounding stupid. So I thought, well, I can do that. I'm good at that. I enjoyed the strategic stuff. So that would be something I'd be interested in. And it didn't daunt me that I'd have to go into something new. I had a non-compete from the textile company.
So actually you had to do something different anyway,
Yes.
unless you waited out that long non-compete.
Yeah. I didn't want to be an employee, so I thought, well, I didn't know anything about textiles and did okay with that. And so let's just jump in with both
Do
feet
something
and
new.
see how we go.
Yeah, great. Engineering business. So this was the first one in August 2020. So tell us about that.
So I was halfway through Mastermind. It was done over about a year, the course of a year, I think, back then.
Yep.
Started in January 2020, sending letters. I looked at various sectors. I looked at caravan parks. I looked at domiciliary care. I think I looked at care homes. And then about April time, as we're deep into lockdown, I get an email from Jonathan saying, I've got this sort of emergency COVID letter template to send to business owners. So I fired off about 500 letters to manufacturing companies and wholesale companies. Bit of a splattergun approach. Get a phone call a few days later. I've had this letter from you, tell me a bit about yourself. So I sort of steer the conversation back to the template that Jonathan gives us. This was a company that owned a group of engineering companies, and they said they were looking to divest one of their non-core assets, they said. Engineering company. So I had we're on the phone, had a quick Google of what it was, what it did. It seemed to have a bit of a niche. We couldn't meet up at that time, so this was all on the phone. We didn't even do Zoom calls, it was all on the phone. Got the accounts and they said, well, you're going to have to make us an offer. And I'm thinking, oh, we don't make offers.
Never make an offer.
But I was a bit daunted because they were professional business buyers. I thought, well, I'll just chuck in a lowball bid and see what comes of it. So I thought the lowest end it would be possibly worth was sort of 2 times EBITDA, but it owned the property. It owned the factory that it operated in. So I said, look, I'll pay you for the factory on day one, and I'll pay you 2 times EBITDA over 4 years, expecting not to hear a further word.
You've watched this far, you must be serious about buying a business successfully without risking any of your own cash. I am teaching the complete business buying system at my FastTrack program. It's a live, in-person event, and you can find a link in the description below.
A couple of hours later, we'll do that deal.
So can I just say, this is how fast it can happen. All right? So when people say, oh, looking at businesses for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, either they don't have the criteria right, or they're just doing it wrong. They don't have a system. They're not following a process. So when you've got a process to follow, it can all fall into place very, very quickly indeed.
So put the phone down. I said, that's great, excellent. I'll start working on it. Great. Obviously, I didn't have the just over £500,000 to buy the property, so I went out and found a property investor who bought the property. So on the day of completion, the property investor bought the property off the business. The cash went to the sellers. The shares in the business transferred to me. The business leased the property from the property investor, and then the sellers were paid for the business over the course of 4 years. So sellers on day one received over £500,000. I didn't put any money in, but the business became mine, and we paid an annual rent to the landlord. So it was quite an odd feeling on sort of day one walking around this factory with loads of bits of kit in, thinking, I own this. So that's one of the deal structures that Jonathan teaches, and it worked really nicely. Worked nice because psychologically the sellers were getting a big chunk on day one, and it meant that it was a low risk transaction for myself, but also low risk for the business because it wasn't having to take on lots of debt, or took on zero debt to do that acquisition.
What did you learn from that?
So I learned like you can get deals done.
Yeah.
Proved, validated my belief in the mastermind process.
Sure.
You learn through negotiating with sellers and having to get a deal done. So you had to go and find a property investor who then had to believe that you could run this business
And pay the rent.
and pay the rent.
So what worked and what didn't work?
So the deal structure worked. It's one of the first deal structures you get taught by Jonathan. And I thought, will they go for this? And they did. So great, they went for it. And that all worked perfectly. The mechanism at the end worked. I know it's quite complicated, but you just let the solicitors get on with doing that.
Yeah, and this is not, we were saying this morning, sometimes the flow of funds and the things that need to happen simultaneously, it can keep you awake at night. You're worrying about how it all works, but that's actually what your deal team is there to do for you. It's not for you to figure out how it works.
This is what we agreed. You guys make that happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I got the sellers on board with how the deal structure was working. They knew the property was being split out, and so just make.
So what we didn't have back then. So you had to go and find your own solicitor, I guess, back then.
I did, yeah. Yeah.
So now we have 3 firms. If you go on Google and you look for a solicitor to represent you buying a business, they'll want some money on account. So they'll want something to open the file and to start working for you. They're not going to say, well, just pay us later. You know, they want some money up front. Typically, it would be several thousands of pounds, maybe 3, 4, 5,000 pounds. So we've got 3 firms that the majority of their M&A work is with masterminders. So they're used to what some solicitors would consider to be unusual ways of doing things. And they are the people who say, right, tell me what you want to do and we'll make it happen. And all 3 of them will defer their fees until after you complete, which is worth bearing in mind. So you don't have that upfront cost. But we didn't have that in 2019, 2020.
No.